Welcome back, viewers! This will be a special episode of my Kirby's Adventure playthrough because it will feature 2 levels, or worlds as some people like to call them. First up is Yogurt Yard. Let's check out this level, shall we? Stage 1 starts you out in the sky, following the previous level's continuity. You will find the parasol, sword, and crash abilities in this first section. Next is a free-falling section. Afterward is another side-scrolling section that contains the ice and needle abilities. With that done, we've completed stage 1. Time to start stage 2. Here, Kirby will be required to go underground to proceed. This will be a theme for this level. At the beginning of the first underground section, you will find the sword ability, and toward the end you will find the ball ability. Moving past the nightmare-fueled enemies, we go through a section that contains enemies with the spark and sword abilities. Maneuvering around the cannon, we continue onward through a section that contains the spark and fireball abilities. I just realized that you have to go through a lot of doors in this stage. Next up is an enemy that holds the hammer ability. With quick wit, we defeat it to move on. Going through the second to last door, we find ourselves on the peak of a mountain. Moving over to the far left takes us to the final door, the exit to stage 2. Allow me to note that when I recorded for levels 5 and 6, the footage got interrupted. I apologize in advance for the unprofessional jump cuts, but I couldn't edit this any better. Allow me to show the results of what I accomplished in the egg catcher minigame. Let's check out stage 3. The first section of stage 3 is a vertical segment that contains several cannons along with one high jump ability. Next is another vertical segment that blows you further up the mountain. After that is a side-scrolling segment that contains the wheel, sword, fire breath, and spark abilities. Aside from the train not being suitable for the wheel ability toward the end, not much else to note. We enter a side-scrolling segment that contains the laser ability. A secret door takes us to a hidden ice cavern with an M-tomato and a 1-up hidden behind pegs that can be activated with the stone ability.
I'm freezing my nuts off!
Going back to the same side-scrolling section, we will find the fire breath ability as well. In this vertical segment, we will be prompted to use the parasol to float ourselves down through a spiked cavern area. With that done, we've completed stage 3. Let's look at stage 4. The first segment is a side-scrolling section that takes place underground. You will find the fireball and spark abilities here. Next up is a battle with Meta Knight's minions once again.
Kirby is putting his own spin on this situation.
You know the drill by now. Defeating the minions allows us to proceed further. Next up is a side-scrolling section that contains the ball and beam abilities. Aside from the theme of this stage having sea creatures, not much else to note. Next, Kirby is required to swim through an underwater cavern. After that, Kirby must fall down alongside a waterfall in the background to reach the exit to stage 4. Let's check out stage 5. The first section takes place in a forested area. You can find the sword, cutter, and parasol abilities here. There's an M-tomato just beneath where the exit to the area lies. Next, Kirby will take the warp star to a building hidden somewhere within the forest. Inside, you will find the sword, fire breath, and fireball abilities. The mini-boss of this area has to be amongst the toughest mini-bosses in the game. If you can somehow manage to avoid its springiness and sharp claws, you will find that this enemy gives the fireball ability. When we leave the area, we find ourselves back in the forest. Here you will find the laser, fire breath, and fireball abilities. We have now completed stage 5. Time to look at stage 6. At the start, we find ourselves surrounded by enemies with the wheel ability. This kind of reminds me of an Undertale parody that I saw back in 2015.
Aha! Here we go. We finally have him. We don't have him, he's closed my door.
After having an insane fish gull chase us with spears, I would say that it's time to move on. We find ourselves partially underground. Here we can find the stone and sword abilities. Next, we find ourselves on a coastline leading to an ocean with an island. On the island is a section that contains a button that unlocks something, but I wasn't able to show what it unlocks because I didn't have the right power-up to enter. I honestly don't know what you need here. After that fiasco, we beat stage 6. It's time to face the boss of Yogurt Yard, a mechanized opponent simply called Heavy Mole. A mechanized enemy that is seen underground. I've seen a few bosses in my day who were like this, but none come to mind like Masked Mechanical Monster Goat. Heavy Mole is known for firing drill balls that Kirby can use to either spit back at the boss or copy abilities from. The yellow ones give the hammer ability, and the red ones give the sleep ability. Take caution when Heavy Mole travels upward. If you aren't prepared, you can easily lose a life by staying too far off screen. As you may have noticed, I spit the drill balls back at Heavy Mole, and this is because I found this to be the easiest method of dealing with this boss. We have now collected the 5th piece of the Star Rod. Now we have reached level 6, Orange Ocean. This is one of my favorite levels in this game, mainly because it has one of the best songs that I heard come from a Kirby game. I'll be sure to point out what that song is when the time comes. For now though, it's time for another unprofessional jump cut because I wasn't able to capture the footage before I had entered stage 1. The first section of Orange Ocean Stage 1 consists of some swimming. In the first door, you will find an enemy with a throw ability. Not much else to note here. In this next section, I die to an enemy with a spark ability.
Mom, are you okay? Let's find out.
Well, that was kind of embarrassing. In this section, you will find the Fireball, Spark, and Fire Breath abilities. In the first door, you will find easy to obtain items like a 1-up and an M-tomato. In the final section of Stage 1, you will find that there are several enemies that you have to dodge. I feel like I'm playing Toho all over again with this segment. The only thing to note about this last segment is the sword ability toward the end. With that done, we've completed Stage 1. Let's take a look at Stage 2. Here we will find the section containing a waterfall and an enemy with a sword ability. Not much else to note. In the second section of Stage 2, we will find enemies with the Parasol, Crash, Beam, Spark, and High Jump abilities. When I was playing this, I grabbed the High Jump ability. The next segment of Stage 2 is a vertical section that contains the Fireball, Tornado, Needle, and UFO abilities. In this last section of Stage 2, you will find Beam, Parasol, Cutter, Crash, and Sword abilities. They're being extra generous with the power-ups in this stage. With that done, we've completed Stage 2. As you may have guessed with the preview to Stage 3, we find ourselves on a ship.
There once was a squad that readied up, with outfits a fancy to say what's up.
You can find the Spark and Fireball abilities in this first section. Next, we are inside the ship, which contains enemies with the Hammer and Cutter abilities. Though, I will note that the enemy with the Hammer ability is completely optional. Afterward, we are on the deck of a ship. You will find that the next section's entrance is on the sail. Next is a vertical section where you have to fly up to the top. There will be a warp star waiting. The warp star takes us to the final section of Stage 3, where there will be several enemies that we have to dodge.
19 dodge!
Begin dodge protocol now.
Why are you starting a subroutine? It's not that complex!
What? What?
Just like that, we've completed Stage 3. Let's check out Stage 4. This stage takes place on an island. The only notable thing about this segment is an enemy with the sword ability. The next section takes place underground. You will find enemies with the cutter, sword, crash, and beam abilities. Not much to note about this mini-segment other than the beam and parasol combo. Beyond here, there are a lot of exploding tree nuts that you have to dodge.
We should...
We've now completed Stage 4. I got another 1-up! How lucky! Stage 5 has one of my favorite themes in this game. Listen to the uncut version of this song. Even though the song is about 45 seconds long, it works incredibly well for this level. In this final segment of this stage, we will find enemies with the fire breath and beam abilities. We've now completed Stage 5. Let's move on to Stage 6. Ah yes, the Aurora Borealis. We meet once again. Here you will find the beam, spark, ice, and sword abilities. Next, we appear in space once again. In my opinion, I think they went a bit overboard with the undefined fantastic objects. I mean, the UFO abilities. The next section divides between a top and bottom door. Entering the top door, we have to fight 2 mini-bosses that give the crash ability. In the next section, Meta Knight will give Kirby invincibility. We use this to our advantage to plow through some enemies in the next section. Afterward, we have to face Meta Knight's minions yet again.
You must be patient.
But the king's up to something.
Yes, perhaps he is behind this snow job.
Defeating all of them unlocks the door that takes us to the exit of Stage 6. Now for the boss of Orange Ocean, the overpowered Super Smash Bros. Character that we all know and love, Meta Knight.
Sword Knight, give him a way to defend himself.
Instead of the in-game boss theme, let's listen to Meta Knight's theme from Kirby Superstar on the Super Nintendo. When you look close enough, Meta Knight appears to be another Kirby. Using the sword, we defeat Meta Knight and obtain the 6th piece of the Star Rod. Now we get to see a preview of the second to last level in the game, Rainbow Resort. Using the microphone ability, Kirby transforms the rainbow into stars. Thank you for watching! This double episode of my Kirby's Adventure playthrough was inspired by a comment made by one of my siblings who suggested the idea. Leave a like, comment, or subscribe to the channel. The next episode of my Kirby's Adventure playthrough will be the final episode of the main series, as it will feature levels 7 and 8. I look forward to telling you about the final boss, but that will have to wait until next time. With that said, I hope to see you all on a paradise planet.